Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Baina Midday News, coming to you live from our news hub, Atomic Junction, Benab House, Accra. My name is Fauzi Abdullah. Coming up this afternoon. New Patriotic Party conducts balloting exercise to determine positions of various flag-bearer aspirants. Also, Ghana Water Company Limited to pursue legal action after staff allegedly assaulted by Prophetic Hill Chapel members during disconnection exercise at church premises. And on the international front, thousands rally in Cameroon in show of support for opposition candidates just days ahead of country's presidential election. These and many more stories coming up shortly. Do stay. You're welcome back. You're watching Baina Midday News and we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at Baina TV. Now let's move on to our very first story. Flag-bearer aspirants of the New Patriotic Party are set to ballot for oppositions on the party's presidential primary ballot paper today, October 10th, 2025. The exercise will take place at the party's headquarters in Accra under the supervision of the National Elections Committee.
The balloting precedes the NPP's presidential primary scheduled for January 31, 2026, which will determine who leads the party into the 2028 general elections. Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, confirmed on Thursday, October 9, that all qualified aspirants or their representatives will participate in the process. According to him, all candidates who have met the guidelines issued on July 29 and complied with them will be balloting today, and nobody is going to be excused from any specific guideline of the party. He stressed that the procedures are rooted in the party's constitution and must be respected by all contestants. Meanwhile, the communications director for Kwabena Agyapong's campaign team, Paul Abdul Rahman Issa Dowuna, has reaffirmed that his candidate remains in the race, despite ongoing controversy over a 4 million Ghana cedis development fee. He added that Mr. Agyapong reiterated his position during his vetting, committing to support party development when necessary. Currently, 5 aspirants have been cleared to contest for the NPP's flag-bearer slot. There are Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kennedy Agyapong, Dr. Brian Achampong, Dr. Yao Osei Edichum, and Kwabena Agyapong. The outcome of the balloting will determine the order in which the candidates appear on the ballot paper for the upcoming primary.
Moving on further, the Department of Homeland Security has announced plans to deport Kilma Abrego Garcia to Ghana, according to a notice sent to his attorneys. The agency had earlier considered deporting Abrego Garcia, who was mistakenly sent to El Salvador and later returned to the U.S. to either Eswatini or Uganda. There is more in the following report.
Abrego Garcia's legal team is expected in court on Friday for an evidentiary hearing, where government witnesses will testify on efforts made to deport him to Eswatini or another country. Abrego Garcia, a native of El Salvador, had been living in Maryland with his wife and children before deported in March to El Salvador, Secot Mega Prison. despite a 2019 court order prohibiting his removal there due to threat of persecution. The Trump administration had accused him of belonging to the MS-13 gang, allegation denied by his family and attorneys. He was later returned to the U.S. in June to face human smuggling charges in Tennessee, to which he has pleaded not guilty. After being released into his brother's custody in Maryland pending trial, immigration officials detained him once again and initiated new deportation proceedings.
Now, away from that, the Ghana Water Company Limited says it is taking steps to initiate legal action following an alleged assault on some of its staff on the Prophetic Hill Chapel led by Prophet Nigel Gazy during a disconnection exercise on Thursday. According to officials from the company's Accra East Regional Office, the team had gone to the church premises at Domain to disconnect its water supply over an outstanding debt of more than 6,000 Ghana cedis. However, they were met with resistance from some individuals at the church. The regional communications officer of the company, Nana Yao Berima, confirmed the incident, describing it as unacceptable, adding that the company is considering legal action.
Prophetic Hill Chapel at Domi were disconnected for non-payment of water bills. Later, when our customer care assistant went to the place, he realized that the facility had been reconnected, meaning they found a way of getting water back into the premises. And the meter, which is the only instrument that we put in customers' premises to be able to measure the amount of water consumed by the facility, had been removed. And this is illegal. This is against the law. Tampering with the facility of a public utility is illegal. So we decided that we will send our team there to go and disconnect again. So today we were in an operational meeting when one of my officers called me out and said I should come and listen to something. I went there, and as I listened to, he was on a call with somebody, and I heard a lot of noise at the background. So they told me that they had been to the church premises to effect the disconnection again, but they are being prevented. There were some policemen and some people, were preventing them from effecting the disconnection. So quickly, I called the regional police PRO that we need a reinforcement of police officers so that we would be able to carry out the disconnection exercise. So eventually we went to the place, and I brought newsmen around because this is a serious matter and that the public must know. That's too bad, and we are not taking that anymore. And in fact, this is the reason I'm doing this interview. So we want it to be known by everybody in Ghana that those days are gone when people could reconnect themselves and get by with it. No. This one, we are going to tell our lawyer if there is a need for some legal remedies to be sought, we will do it.
You're still watching Baina Midday News. We'll be back shortly with more stories after this break. Just stay.
Many things Muhammad brought Islam. In reality, Muhammad came as a reformer. Before the advent of Muhammad, all the messengers, including Jesus Christ, Habakkuk, Moses, were Muslims. We will be quoting from the Bible and the Quran to let you understand that they were practicing Islam before the advent of Muhammad. Join our team, the Critical Thinkers Dawa, as we throw light on these facts about Islam.
My Journey to Islam, Fridays at 4 p.m. only on Baina TV.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Wannan shine nurul Islam. Nufin nurul Islam shine hasken musulunci. Da can shi ya wuce muke yi da wazi, muna zuwa garuruwa da wazi. To yau sauki ya zo a cikin taimakon Baina TV, za mu dinga kawo muku karatutuka da musulunci da rayuwa ma gaba daya. To da haka muke kira al'umma baki daya su dinga sauraron mu akan Baina TV. Muna karantar da karatutukan addini. Ku kasance tare da maluma daban-daban a yayin da suke haskakewa game da batutuwa da suka kunshi musulunci da rayuwa gabadaya. Da haka kada ku rasa wannan dama.
Kada ku rasa wannan mafi kyawun lokaci tare da Nurul Islam. Time with Nurul Islam, Sundays at 4:30 p.m. only on Baina TV.
You're welcome back. If you just tuned in, you're watching Baina Midday News and we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at Baina TV. Now let's move on to the world of business. The International Monetary Fund is expected to reach a staff-level agreement with Ghana today, October 10th, 2025, following the completion of the fifth review of the country's $3 billion extended credit facility program. The announcement comes after 2 weeks of discussions between the IMF mission led by Dr. Ruben Atoyan and Ghana's key economic managers from the Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana.
Assessment, Ghana has made significant progress in the key areas, including bringing inflation down to single digits, advancing debt restriction, implementing energy sector reforms, and stabilizing the macroeconomic environment. The Bank of Ghana's prudent liquidity management policies have also been credited with containing inflation and strengthening foreign reserves. If endorsed by the IMF Executive Board, Ghana is set to receive a disbursement of just over $360 million, which will support the country's balance of payments and reinforce investor and donor confidence. The review also examined issues such as reserve accumulation sustainability, fiscal policy gaps, and recapitalization needs of both commercial banks and state-owned financial institutions like the National Investment Bank (NIB). Discussions further covered areas in statutory funds, including the NHIL, GET Fund, and Road Fund, as well as shortfalls in social spending. The mission also evaluated whether recent policy rate cuts by the central bank align with Ghana's inflation path and monetary policy goals. This marks the sixth review under Ghana's IMF program, with the final review scheduled for April 2026, ahead of the program's conclusion in May 2026. Approved in May 2023, Ghana's $3 billion IMF-supported program aims to restore macroeconomic stability, ensure debt sustainability, and foster inclusive growth through structural reforms and fiscal discipline. A successful staff-level agreement today will represent another milestone in Ghana's economic recovery, reaffirming the IMF confidence in the government's reform agenda and policy direction.
And on the international front, thousands of people rallied in the northern Cameroonian city of Maroua in a show of support for opposition candidate Issa Chiroma Bakari, just days ahead of the country's presidential election. Bakari, who leads the Front for the Salvation of the National Cause, remains optimistic about his chances despite 92-year-old President Paul Biya's bid to extend his 43-year rule with an 8th term. Supporters say their backing reflects a growing desire for change in a nation burdened by decades of political stagnation and corruption. With nearly 30 million citizens, Cameroon continues to grapple with widespread corruption and a deadly separatist conflict in its western region. Paul Biya's re-election bid comes amid growing doubts about the credibility of the post as election authorities face accusation of favoring the long-ruling party. And in the world of sports, the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Yao Ampofo-Ankara, has issued football fans of an enhanced match-day experience when Ghana faces Comoros at the Accra Sports Stadium on Sunday, October 12th. Speaking to the press ahead of the fixture, which marks the end of Ghana's 2026 FIFA World Cup campaign, Mr. Ampofo-Ankara acknowledged that while the Accra Stadium may